Today we're going back to basics and I'm going to show you how to make this delicious salted caramel sauce. It is thick, indulgent, rich, salty, sweet and so versatile for so many baking things. If you want to see how I make this, keep watching. So this is a wet caramel and it's made really in two stages. So the first stage is we're going to make the actual caramel, and then the second stage is we're going to add cream and butter to it to change the consistency and make it more of like a caramel sauce. So the first thing we're going to do is make the caramel. So we've got caster sugar here, which I'm adding to a saucepan, and your saucepan really needs to be with as high a sides as possible because caramel is dangerous. It is hotter than boiling water, and when we add the cream in, it's going to bubble up. So you want to make sure that you've got a deep saucepan, and then we add our water to it. So you just want to cover your sugar, and then we're going to mix this together just by swirling it. If you've got any clumps of sugar in your mixture, you can just break it down with a spatula before we start bubbling it. So this is going to go onto a medium heat, and although I've labelled this as a back to basics recipe, I'm not going to lie and say that caramel is the easiest thing in the world to make, because it's not. There are definite challenges when making caramel. It is both tedious and temperamental, and what I mean by that is you really have to watch the caramel pretty much the whole time, because what's going to happen to the sugar and water mixture is eventually it's going to get darker and darker and darker and turn into an amber colour, and that is when it's ready to take off the heat and add our other ingredients. But what can happen is literally within seconds it can go from being too pale to burnt. So you have to keep your eye on this because it can change in an instant. And what we're not going to do is stir this. So if you stir this at any point, it's going to crystallise, which means that the sugar in this mixture is going to start turning into hard clumps, which is obviously not what we want for a really nice smooth caramel sauce. So we're going to let this do its thing, and I will show you what it looks like when it is ready for the next stage. Okay, it's been on for a few minutes now, so I'm going to give it its first swirl, and what I mean by that is I'm going to take it off the heat ever so slightly and just very gently swirl it round. I'm not doing it vigorously, I'm just doing it slowly and gently, and then put it back on the heat again. At the moment it's still a clear white colour, it's bubbling quite vigorously and it sounds loud as well. What you'll notice over the next 5 minutes is the bubbles will start to get calmer, it will start to get quieter. The sound is really a key point to know when it's getting closer to being done. So I don't know if you'll be able to tell this on camera, especially because I've got this induction hob which is really noisy, but the sound is quieting down now. This is like your first warning sign. This is like things are about to happen. Listen up, people. So it's still bubbling quite vigorously at the minute, but it's definitely quieting down. So we want to make sure that we're watching this. I'm going to give it another swirl now, and I'm going to go even more gentle at this stage, mainly because this is getting really, really hot. So obviously boiling water is 100 degrees Celsius. We're aiming to get this around 170 degrees Celsius. So very, very hot. Caramel is very dangerous. Do not let kids do this. Now in terms of the colour, I tend to eyeball it most of the time. I just see that it changes to a nice amber colour. It's not as pale as straw, and it's not as dark as like a chocolate, for example. It's a really nice amber colour in the middle, and as I'm talking you can see that it's starting to change colour, starting to go to like a straw colour. But I appreciate that me telling you to get to an amber colour isn't that helpful, and also the camera picks up colours differently, so you want to aim for about 170 to 175 degrees. This is Celsius, by the way, not Fahrenheit. So we're starting to change colour now. It's still bubbling quite vigorously, but it is calming down slightly. I can barely hear the bubbles at all now. Give it a little swirl, and I think we'll be ready to take it off in a sec. 161, very close, 167, 173. Okay, so we're going to take that off now. Hopefully you can see it on camera. It's not as dark as chocolate, but it's not as light as straw. It's a nice amber, rich colour. And then in a jug here, I have got some double cream, and I've got some salt as well. I've got a teaspoon of salt in here because it's salted caramel. If you don't want the salt, don't add the salt. You can just have a nice sweet caramel if you want to. Now this is another temperamental stage. Why wouldn't it be? It's caramel. But we're very gently going to whisk this and very slowly stir the caramel in, and you can see that it bubbles up really high. It's a bit like honeycomb. Now what can happen at this stage is your caramel can seize, and usually the reason why that is because you've got cold cream going into to very hot caramel. What I tend to do is use slightly warm cream or room temperature cream, just because it's got less of a chance of seizing if the temperatures aren't so far apart. If your caramel does seize up, it's not ruined. You just need to put it back onto a low heat and gently stir it until all the lumps go out of it. But what I like to do is add some butter in at this stage as well. So I'm going to put it back on the heat, on the lowest heat possible, and add our butter in. This is cold butter. So we're just going to mix this in until it has melted together, and that will be our caramel sauce done. Okay, butter is all melted in, so I'm going to pour it into a bowl now, or you can pour it into a jar if you like as well. And please, please, please do not try this at this stage. It is still super hot, and if you put your finger in there or you get a spoon and taste it, it will burn. Please trust me on that one, I've done it. And then we're going to leave this to cool, and as it cools it's going to get a lot thicker. As you can see now, it is really thin, and you could use this as a sauce at this stage if you want to, but it's going to get really thick and almost fudgy in texture as well. So we'll leave that to thicken and cool down, and then we can give it a try. Okay, the caramel has cooled down now, and look in the difference in texture. It is gooey and sticky and thick and indulgent. I could literally just eat that as it is. Look at it though, it's so nice. And you can use this for pretty much anything. Like, you can put it in cakes, you can decorate on top of cakes, you could put it in ice cream, you could make millionaire shortbread with this. It is so, so versatile. I'm of course gonna taste it. I know it's already gonna taste amazing, not to blow my own trumpet, but I've made this caramel a lot and I know it tastes really good. Salty and creamy and silky and sweet all at the same time. And that is how you make this delicious caramel sauce. I'm going to be making a caramel and chocolate tart for next week's video, so keep an eye on that. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week for that chocolate and caramel tart. Thanks for watching. Bye.